However, okay, so now I'm going live on YouTube, but I don't have my chat. Chat. Looks like I got YouTube chat up. Okay. Holy crap. All right. So, do we still have everything working good? Do we have a picture? We have overlays. We have sound. Everything looks. I've never done this before, and I'm all by myself. My wife is not here. The she-devil is not here to help me. I'm trying to monitor. I've never done this setup. I don't know if I'm live on YouTube. If anybody happens to be watching YouTube, could you please let me know either on YouTube or in here that you see me and hear me on YouTube as well. It should just be a full screen picture on YouTube, nothing more. I just want to make sure that we're streaming in both places. Again, I've never tried to simulcast through TikTok Studio, which this is cool. I hope you like the new look. At least I'm playing with looks. We'll see how it goes. We're playing with looks and seeing how that goes. And yeah, let's just give it a little bit of time. This is a typical warm-up period. We got it till 6 more minutes for me to get my collective shit together. I would go, let's see, can I do this? Can I go to, I don't know if this is going to pop up on what screen. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to take a quick, I'm not looking at my screen right now because I'm going to go over to YouTube Studio and take a look to see if I'm streaming over there. So we're going to go Studio and somewhere I can see my live broadcast streaming. It says that's good. Yeah, so it looks like there are people. Nobody's commenting, nobody's saying anything in YouTube, but it does look like, and it says I've got a bit rate warning, but hey, bottom line is it looks and smells like everything is working correctly. So thank you very much for coming in. Thank you for spending another evening with me on a Monday night. I'm flying solo with a whole bunch of new shit and content. I'm learning so many new tricks. I did an hour and a half long video recently for long form on YouTube, and then I used an AI program to splice it up into smaller clips that I can then use for content on several different social media platforms. That's all brand new for me, so I'm hoping that that goes well. I'm sorry about the light flickering. If I put my hand up in front of the camera, I tend to change the shadowing, and that screws things up. So I will try to not move my hand so close to the camera. I can have it here, obviously fine, but if I come up here, look at what it does to the light. So that's not good. Anyways, so yeah. Got about 4 minutes left, and again, I'm watching the chat on YouTube as well. So hopefully there's somebody that could give me just a thumbs up or something to let me know that we're good there. But I'm going to presume that we're good there as well. And then I got to pull up my notes. I had notes, so I've got. It's a good thing I've got a really big monitor. I'll tell you that much. I've got a pretty big monitor, and I need all the real estate I can get right now to put all the different things in all the different places and get it laid out the way that I want. So, yeah, and it doesn't look like I have much of a volume on the microphone. You say that the microphone sounds good on TikTok, which is great because the volume level on TikTok Studio makes it look like I'm barely registering at all. But I'm going to trust that it sounds fine for you. And thanks again for helping me do the sound checks. Those are people who are doing that. Oh, this is so cool. I can see new things. It's so cool. Oh my God. I'm liking this. I'm liking this new layout thing. I can do a lot more with my layouts. I don't know. Hey, and look, there's a gift of some kind. Look. What? Fantastic. Fantastic. I think this is a great start to my week. Oh, by the way, I've got some big things coming up. I will tell you about that in about 3 minutes, because I'm going to do an official monologue like I always do at the beginning of the night. I kind of get into what I'm going to talk about for the evening, and then we get into it. My monologues are usually a little long. People have complained about that in the past, but not a lot. Most of you don't complain. So I'm going to go with the you can't please all the people all the time. And I'm going to say I'm sorry that a few people don't like the fact that I don't get started quickly enough for them, and the rest of you are okay. So looks like we're doing fine. And thanks for the gifts, by the way, for those who are throwing me gifts. I super appreciate it. I'm really working on it. By the way, I have an idea with my wife to do a fun little game. I don't know if it's going to go over well. I've never tried anything like it, but maybe I'll talk about that during the monologue. In fact, I'm going to add that to a note. My wife and I came up with an idea for a game, and I thought it would be kind of fun. But it probably won't be able. Our game probably won't be able to debut until Friday, because something special is happening on Wednesday, and I'll explain that in like a minute and a half or so. Holy crap. All right, so we're starting kind of. Thanks again for all the likes and getting us started. Thank you. I appreciate that. We have a low attendance tonight. It's Monday night. I guess I can expect that. I'm working on improving our show quite a bit every day. You would be amazed at the little tiny things that don't really show yet. But I am making small improvements on everything we're doing. So I'm excited about continuing in this true crime space and seeing if we can build something cool together. You're in the infancy stages with me. So thanks again for all the likes. It's a great way to get us started. Thank you also for the people who are joining. If you happen to know somebody who might be interested, please share and let them know. The big thing I'm trying to hit is up there in the corner. Let me see if my fingers can work with right there in the corner. If you see the overlay, I'm trying to get to that 10,000 mark so that I can put my videos in playlists. As you know, okay, this is basically the official monologue, but as you know, our channel, or my channel, focuses on two primary stories. But thank you for the hearts. Thank you for coming in just long enough to give me a bunch of hearts. I super appreciate that. And so I want to be able to put my videos into those two playlists primarily and separate the Luigi Mangione from the Bryan Coberger Idaho 4 stuff so that you can more easily, when you're looking at my videos and going back to old stuff, you can more easily find it. I can't do that organization and sorting with playlists until I hit 10,000 followers. I had that on a previous account. I had 17,000 followers on a previous account for religion and spirituality, which I never in a million years thought it would be harder for me to hit the 10K mark in true crime than religion and spirituality, especially considering that channel was very controversial in my opinions, not super popular stuff. And thanks, man, for spamming the likes. You're the best. Thank you so much. So tonight is going to basically, it's kind of an off night for me. My wife is out of town. She's on doing something for her business and her fun. Fortunately for both of us, we're now doing something that we love for our quote unquote business. Although this I would not call a business because it makes no money. But someday maybe I'll get some advertisers to help out. We'll see. But my wife's certainly making money, but she's also enjoying her hobby, and so that's fantastic for her. And so she's going to be gone for a couple of nights, so I'm doing all these new things without her. So tonight's format's going to be pretty laid back. I don't have a super formal agenda, but I do have a big announcement. And what I'll probably do is it's going to be open Q&A for both Luigi Mangione and Bryan Kohberger. Now, here's the thing. I'm trying to decide if you guys would prefer for me to just be, like I said, it's completely 100% open questions and answers on either case that I'm following, and therefore I'll just look for somebody to ask a question and I'll go with it, or whether you would prefer me to do like the first 30 minutes, for example, on just Luigi Mangione questions, and then the second 30 minutes on just Coberger questions, and then if there's any remaining time for anything that's left over. So if anybody wants to give me any input, whether you think I should go with a structured 30 minutes for Luigi, then 30 minutes for Coberger, or whether you just say, hey, on these kind of nights, just take whatever questions come out, talk about whatever's on your mind, and just go with the flow. So anyways, yes, first for Luigi. Okay. And maybe that's only because you're only a Luigi fan and so you've got a vested interest. But let's say the first 30 minutes, we're at 6 o'clock, 6:02. the first 30 minutes, let's try to stay on Luigi Mangione for 30 minutes. Questions and answers on Luigi Mangione, and I'll try to give you some thoughts on Luigi Mangione if you don't have questions and answers. And then in the last 30 minutes of this hour, we'll kind of switch over to primarily Bryan Coberger, Idaho 4 questions and answers. And then if I have any energy or we have any time together as a group, we will continue on. And thanks. Somebody says, yes, separate. So I'm not sure what that means, but somebody left a comment over in YouTube. So somebody, I think, hears and sees me on, and that's somebody just telling me, yes, keep them separate. Keep the Luigi stuff separate. Keep the Kohberger stuff separate. So we'll start with that. Let me tell you, so now I'm going to just do a quick monologue because this is going to be Coberger stuff, and I don't want to take away from the Luigi time since we decided to do the first half hour. But I want to tell you that I'm going to have a guest appearance with a TikToker that you may know or may not know by Birdie Bombs. Birdie Bombs and I have worked out a deal to have me come on his show. He does a lot of really, really interesting critical analysis. He has a very big following, and him and I hit it off really well today. We've talked a lot, and we're going to do a mutual show together on Wednesday. Now, the way that we're going to probably do this, I think, is that that he's going to go ahead and go live. So actually, it's going to be kind of confusing. I'm going to go live at 6 o'clock like I normally do, but his live starts at 6:30 our time. So at 6:30 our time, I'm probably going to shut down my live, and then I'm going to rejoin as a guest on his show for Wednesday night. So that's Wednesday night. Big discussion. I'm going to join him on his regularly scheduled live, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff related to the Kohberger case. And there's some crazy things that you will hear me talk about on his show that you probably have never heard me talk about. And in fact, I know you've never heard me talk about some of the things that I'll be talking about with Birdie Bombs. And I happen to know his first name, but I can't remember if he ever tells his first name on his show. So I guess I won't use his first name until I find out if he just goes by Birdie Bombs or whether he goes by his first name. And you can call me by my first name if you want to. So yes, I'm glad that somebody wants to hear that. I think it's going to be a great show. I mean, like I said, he and I just really hit it off, and we started talking, and you think this, and you know this, and you know about that, and we were just like, oh my God, dude, we got to get on a show together. This is going to be so much fun. So I think that'll be great. That's mostly what I have for basically the intro. Again, my wife and I were thinking about playing a little game. I want to float this by you as well. And by the way, if you want to fire a Luigi Mangione question at me, this is the Luigi Mangione half hour that we're going to discuss Mangione questions and answers. And I would prefer, because there's really not a big news, unless you heard about the individual in Minnesota, by the way, that was arrested for basically he was planning to shoot into the United Healthcare building in Minnetonka. I don't know if you heard that news story that came out today, so we'll talk about that in a moment. But anyways, my wife and I's idea was to try to generate a little bit of gifts and fun. She was going to pick some humiliating filter for me that I must put on during the question and answer session the next time we go live together. And then if we get a certain number of roses during the show, then I'm forced to go with whatever filter my wife decides to put on for a humiliating filter for me to answer questions and answers at the end. We thought it'd be a little fun, that we could have fun, and she will completely blindside me with some humiliating filter that I got to put on. Who knows what that's going to be like? That terrifies me a little bit, but I don't have to do it unless we raise a certain number of roses or something, or gifts that we have. So we'll try to make it super affordable, try to get people to have fun with it, and see if my wife can sideline me or blindside me, if you want to call it, with a filter that's embarrassing at the end of the show. So, do you think either side will be for a continuance prior to Friday? I think there's a lot of things that still have to work out, so I'm not sure, but we'll see. That's coming up. What on is Friday the 18th, or is that the? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, again, if you're talking about the Luigi case, I feel like we have to have an answer in 2 days, which is going to be, what is that, Wednesday, from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on the arrest, right? And then 2 days later or whatever, we're going to have the decision on the indictment, essentially, and whether they ask for a continuance, I don't know. Share the live, by the way. Does that mean I'm not sharing the live? What's that? What does share the live mean, Stella? I should be live on both YouTube and TikTok. So I'm not sure what share the live means. But anyway, so yeah, if that's what you're asking about, whether or not you think there's going to be a continuance, are they going to ask for another, hey, we need more time? I don't know. And it's funny because, again, we're waiting to find out if the federal government is going to indict Luigi Mangione or not. And again, is anybody waiting? Are they waiting for the answer in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania? If you don't know what I'm talking about, I can explain that. I can explain at least what my feeling is that. And thanks, by the way, for the roses. That's the kind of thing that we're going to try to do on a Friday night, I think. Because again, Wednesday is going to be an off night with me joining Birdie Bombs. So, any other questions or comments? Did you guys hear about that? Did you guys hear about the guy that was arrested? In fact, let me see if I can. Arrested Minnetonka. Minnetonka? United Healthcare. I'm gonna, if I can get this, well, actually you will see it kind of in miniature down below. Large police present, intruder with a gun arrested outside of we gotta accept this. Yeah. So if you see this, for example, I don't know how well you can see it on the little tiny screen. Intruder with a gun arrested outside United Healthcare campus in Minnetonka. That's the headquarters for United Healthcare. An individual, and I don't know if they're going to show his picture here. Well, there's Bryan Thompson. Anyways, an individual, I think in his 20s, 26-year-old suspect was basically going to go and shoot into the headquarters of United Healthcare to make a statement, he said, about the healthcare industry. And so he was arrested. There was a big police presence. All of that happened. As far as I know, nobody was harmed. I don't even think he fired the gun. I think he went there to go do something, but didn't do it, I think. So some of you think that this thing is going to go on for a couple more months with Luigi Mangione, and we're not going to have any kind of indictment on Friday. And that's very possible. I feel the feds don't have valid evidence and want him to plea. I think it's too early for a plea, but we'll see. Hey, from Louisiana, according to YouTube, thank you for joining in. I appreciate that. I checked you out a little bit. We'll have to chat sometime. You're into some of the same kind of cool stuff that I am, I think. So I'd love to have some kind of personal conversation with you sometime. So thanks for joining us on the YouTube side. But anyway, so that was I guess that was the news, you will, of this intruder. And I have to be careful, of course, of talking about it because I'm not advocating for any kind of violence. And by the way, on YouTube, see, here's what happens if I go show YouTube. So the way my screen just went kind of funky, and now I have to kind of move over here to talk with you. The middle of the screen is a mirror of what's down below. I'm working on my format, by the way. So what's happening right now is on YouTube, they get a nice picture-in-picture side by side of me talking about this article, which I forgot to do for them. But when I go to sharing on YouTube, then we're going to have this weird thing. I'm going to work out a better format. I just literally started playing around with this today. I thought I'd give it a try and see how it works. So I'm going to go back to full screen. Because it's a little bit better and prettier on both sides when we go to the full screen, and that's great. Fifth Element, we'll chat. I'll reach out to you and see if we can talk about, and I'll explain a little bit what I'm talking about. So yeah, you can hardly read that. I get it. That's why I encourage you to follow the YouTube stream. If you go to YouTube, I bet you can read it very well. And again, because it's full screen almost on YouTube. So unfortunately, that's the only way to really kind of do that. And again, I have to kind of lean over here to this side of the screen when I'm sharing and it's hard to explain. I'm sharing my desktop or whatever, and it's just, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to do that. But anyways, and then there's lots of articles. If you just do what I did, which is just search for Minnetonka, United Healthcare, shooting or whatever, or shooter, you'll have a million websites. This isn't even, I mean, that's Twin City suburbs that I pulled up, and I don't know even about that paper. But if I go back and you look, there's NBC News, man arrested outside of the healthcare campus in Minnesota. So there's NBC News. That's a more major thing. I bet you they have a picture. It's funny, I saw pictures of the alleged guy this morning. Here's CNN covering it as well. And again, on YouTube, you should be able to see that. But again, what's weird is I'm not seeing this guy's photos. I wonder if they're not trying to give him press. Let's go to images. Because I'll recognize him. Hey, there's Luigi. And no. What's funny is I saw more than one news article with this guy's picture, and now I'm having a hard time finding any pictures. So I'm suspecting that they don't want him to get his, Ian Wagner was his name. There you go. How about we do that? Let's see if we can type in Ian Wagner and get images. There we go. That is the guy. Let's open this in a new tab. And, well, That didn't really do it. Open a new tab. I'm just trying to get just the picture. There we go. That's the guy. That's the guy that allegedly was going to go commit some kind of random act of violence. Well, I guess it's not random, right? I guess it's not random. But that's the guy that was going to go do the shooting. So that one's from an ABC News article. So thanks for the name. He apparently alerted his mother that he was going to go do this, and his mother turned him in. And then there was the big police presence and outside the headquarters. And it was interesting because one of the things that they said was, they said, I'm going to go back to full screen here. They said that there was already barricades all over around the building, and they're wanting to know how he got so close. So that became one of those questions I had. Like, did United Healthcare always have barricades around their building, making it hard for anybody to get up to the building? Or is that new since Bryan Thompson's situation? If it's always been the case, then you have to ask yourself why that has to be the case, that a healthcare company has to have that kind of presence. Or if it's been since Bryan Thompson, then there it is. That explains that. And I have to be careful again because, and by the way, I just realized one of the problems I could have on here is when I'm on my phone, because I'm not on my phone, I'm using my PC to stream to YouTube tonight. I wonder what happens if they give me any kind of community violation or guidelines thing. I don't have my glasses, and that's pretty small print. But let's see, I have learned to screenshot when I find something on Google because it will be gone forever next time I look it up. Thank you. That is a great tip. I have done similar things. I'll print a website to PDF if I feel like it's going to get scrubbed. I did the same thing with J.P. Renison when he gave his quote-unquote confession on Tumblr. I was like, I'm printing that so that if anybody doubts that it ever happened, because I expected that to go away very quickly. Special thanks to his mom, who reported on her son going to go do an unstable act outside the thing. Yeah. I worked at the corporate office for UHC in Wisconsin. No barricades. Okay, so Renee, you worked there at the corporate office. So it is new, basically since Bryan Thompson, which makes some sense. I would expect that that's the case. So thanks for clarifying that. Super interesting that you used to work at the headquarters. I would love to, like, maybe you have some. Well, I wouldn't say you wouldn't want to tell insider information, but I wonder, you've got a unique perspective having worked there at the headquarters. Like I said, I've had, I don't know if you guys heard my interview when I had my friend Angie on, but she works for a medical billing IT software, one of the biggest ones that the nation uses. And so it's always fun to have people to have the kind of inside perspective of things. Wait, what's going on? Lulu says. We were talking about an individual that was arrested today for claiming that he was going to go. Well, he showed up outside United Healthcare's headquarters in Minnetonka, Minnesota, and was going to fire his gun into the building to make a statement. And his mom turned him in, and he was arrested, I think, without incident, outside of the headquarters in Minnetonka at United Healthcare. So that's what we were talking about. And again, if you're on YouTube, I can go ahead and show you, like, again, some sites. Intruder United Healthcare campus wanted to make a statement. He's now in custody after an intruder was reported to be on campus. Let's see, the intruder identified later in the day by his 26-year-old mother, Ian Wagner. Yeah, so that's a pretty, oh, wait, here we go. There's no indication that he had specific grievances against United Healthcare. Wagner's mother said that he wanted to send a message, adding that he called from outside the building and told her he was going to go shoot into it. I guess don't call your mom if your mom's going to turn you in. No, he's 26. His mother is not 26. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse that. The 26-year-old's mother turned him in. So there you go. And like I said, I don't think anybody was harmed. I don't think he ever fired the gun. I think he was immediately taken care of and arrested before that went down. So that's some news to think about. I wonder if they're going to try the death penalty on him too. No, I don't believe that they will. One, he didn't actually do anything other than show up and threaten indirectly through his mom. So I don't think that he will get the death penalty. That's for sure. I'm sure they will charge him with something, and probably pretty heavily. especially since they want to make a statement in the public that that kind of crap's not going to be tolerated. People are really passionate. This is coming from YouTube. People are really passionate about healthcare. Don't you agree with using violence to get your point across? We can do better. Right. Now, yes, you're right. You're right. I was going to say, I'm hesitating because, again, it's one of those things like, what can you say? I'm going to go full screen again because we don't have anything that we need to talk about. Full screen on YouTube. There's an argument to be made by several people that legislation has never changed anything. In fact, if you remember, I have plugged this before. I am reading a book chapter by chapter and doing an analysis. It's called the Luigi's Bookshelf. We're reading the book called An American Sickness by Elizabeth Rosenthal, because in one of the last documentaries, Luigi Mangione indicated that we should all educate ourselves. People should educate themselves on the healthcare system by reading Elizabeth Rosenthal's book. Now, again, whether or not Luigi really said that or not, I can't confirm, but that is allegedly what Luigi said. And so I started a book club, if you will, for those who are interested. And I read chapter by chapter and give analysis. And let me tell you, the one thing that came out in that book is no matter how many times the government tries to do the right thing, if you really believe that the government tries to do the right thing, but no matter how many times the government tries to do the right thing, somebody in the industry always finds a way to make more money out of it and to manipulate the new law designed to curb out of control expenses and turn it into a profit-making thing. That book is chapter after chapter after chapter of the government trying to stop the explosion of out-of-control healthcare costs in the United States, and then what the industry from top to bottom, be it hospitals, doctors, clinics, ancillary products, medical devices, insurance companies, no matter what, they always find a way to manipulate the system and make more money off of it. TikTok Addict finished the book. Couldn't wait. I don't know if you started the book review with me, so you couldn't wait for my slow ass. I get it. I appreciate that. I would love to know, is it worth it at the end? Remember TikTok Addict, I told you, and I don't know if you were watching my review, but I said it's getting depressing reading the first 3/4 of the book or half of the book where all it does is talk about how bad things are. Does it ever get better where you really get some concrete, how can we make a difference? How can we change things? How can we protect ourselves? I'd love to know, since you read the book, does it get better? Oh, you didn't see my reviews at all. I've been reading, I'm about chapter 7, I think. I'm about chapter 7 in the book. And it's disgusting and it's depressing to read because I keep saying, when are we going to get to the what we can do about it kind of thing? Because this is out of control and it's heartbreaking. We just read there in one of the last chapters about a mother, a single mother of 2 that had to completely destroy her life savings and cash out her pension plan, and her children will never be able to go to college because she can't afford it, and they're now all broke because it was only a fraction of the money that the hospital wanted from her, and she literally went broke. Kids have no future. She has no future because the hospital bankrupted her. And again, I've stated before, 2/3 of the bankruptcies in the United States are healthcare related, meaning that people can't either afford the sickness and the time that they've lost from work or the costs of the bills afterwards. And so 2/3 of all bankruptcies in the United States are due to health-related costs or healthcare-related costs. I didn't feel like there's any improvement or hope expressed in the book. That sucks. That's what I was depressed about. I was like, how? I don't want to get to the end of the book and find out there's really nothing you can do. So that's depressing. I'm kind of sorry I asked you. But I will try to continue on with the book, and I will do my best to give my inputs. But the point I was making, the whole reason I went on that huge side tangent was people were saying, violence is not the way to solve anything. And again, the point of for example, How to Blow Up a Pipeline, which is a book. It's a theoretical book that was made into a fictional movie, so it was a nonfiction book. And the point of that book was that in our history, protests and nonviolent demonstrations and trying to pass legislation has never worked. And so it's not advocating, the book does not advocate for violence, but the point being is that they were also showing how at times when things have become violent, that's when change happens. So again, the book's not advocating violence. but it is a theoretical framework to show that legislation and such has never really been effective and continues to not be effective because they know how to avoid that kind of stuff. I gave up on healthcare 15 years ago. This is from YouTube, and became self-taught a natural healer. Had to go to the dentist one time, and that's it. I am 45. Yeah. In a similar vein, I happen to be lucky enough to be in a place where, to be honest with you, like this is maybe an overshare, and it's not so Luigi, but it is related to healthcare, so we'll do that. I happen to be in a place where the free state provided insurance is better than the insurance when I was working. So a lot of my money when I was working for an employer, a lot of my money went to paying premiums, which was only part of what my healthcare cost, because the employer was picking up a significant portion and they were taking a significant portion out of my money. And now that I'm not working and therefore can qualify for state benefits, I have better insurance with the state than I did working. So who's incentivized? I've never been super lazy, but who's incentivized to go to work when you work and then they take a third of what you earn right off the top just to pay for your premiums, which you have better premiums if you just stay home. So it's we have a broken system. So what somebody else said here, could Ian have been in New York City on December 4th? Just a thought. Well, that is Rose. That's a really good question from TikTok. I don't think if you look at him, if you put a mask on him, do you think it looks like the same person as the so-called adjuster or the shooter on the street, or his build? I don't know. Like if you were to suggest, could this have been the same guy? I don't think the MO doesn't look the same. The other guy didn't call his mom first to say he was going to go do it. So yeah, I mean, it's a great question. It's a great question, but I would argue, just looking at this individual, that he probably looks not enough like the build. Even he looks like he maybe is a little stockier guy. I don't know his height, but I bet you he doesn't fit the bill. But it's a good question. And by the way, I didn't blow that up for the YouTubers. So sorry about that. That's I got to get used to this. If I'm gonna stay with I got to figure out a way to do this differently so that when I go full screen, this part up here this part right here on TikTok is just me. That would be good, so that the picture down below is the part you need to see. But I haven't got that worked out. This is all brand new. You wonder if he just wanted notoriety. Yeah, it could have been. It could have been. Or, and I hate to use this word lightly, it could have been mental illness, right? He could have just, some people are unstable and so maybe it was mental illness. But then that begs the question, is everybody who does something like that have mental illness? And we're not going to get into that tonight. Thanks for the gifts, by the way. Thank you. The gifts are super cool. Eventually, we're going to try to move a little bit more into some gift giving kind of things so we can kind of keep this channel afloat. I just dropped a significant amount of money on a software to help out with these things. And so, yeah, I'm spending all money and not getting anything for this. And my wife's like, you should probably go back to work. Oh, let me get full screen again here. And I'm like, man, I'm working more than I was when I was working. Who is this guy? I come in late. This is the guy that was Ian Wagner, I believe the name was, that went to the United Healthcare headquarters in Minnesota and told his mom he was going to shoot into the building, and then was arrested without incident, I believe. So that's who we were talking about for you, since you came in and missed it. Where are we looking at time? 26 minutes. Again, this is a very, very light new format. And again, it's just open questions and answers. Yes, you're welcome, Samsy. I'm sorry that you missed that. But there wasn't a lot to talk about. And again, I don't even know how I feel about giving that guy so much press time that we're giving his picture up there. But that is what we were talking about. That's why his picture's there on the screen. And I can move it to an article. Here's ABC News. Again, you probably can't see that super well on your screen, but there's lots of news stories about it. Oh, look, TMZ covered it. Look, TMZ covered it. What a shock. Yeah, I'm sure you all would love to hear TMZ's take on it. His mugshot from jail. So anyways, just scrolling through a little bit of that. Oh, I'm not showing it on YouTube. So there you go. There's TMZ's review of it. Oh, look, I got a bunch of ads. Gotta love that. Gotta love it. So anyways, we know how people feel in the Luigi world about TMZ. That was one of the worst hit pieces. Right there. That is one of the worst hit pieces ever made on Luigi Mangione. TMZ investigates Luigi Mangione and the mind of a killer. That show was horrendously biased. Horrendously. And even when, to their credit, when they brought somebody on or two to kind of counter the slant, they would then scoff and mock the person for having any positive spin. So they didn't even have a positive spin. They brought somebody on to give the positive spin, and then they mocked them on camera for having a positive spin. Like, I don't understand what's wrong with you people. So there you have it. Yeah. Let's see. I got another point. I read that he was suffering ED from back surgery at his age 28. I understand his frustration, but I don't have verification of that. Are we talking about Luigi, or are we talking about... we're not talking about Ian Wagner, because Ian Wagner is 26. So is Luigi 28? I'm trying to remember his age. And I don't remember the ED part, although I do remember... I do remember a statement being made that he was having difficulties. Luigi's 26, so I'm not sure who we're talking about the 28-year-old. Maybe I missed something in the earlier comments. Oh, so I think in YouTube she was talking about Luigi, but we may have the age wrong. Maybe he's 20. Maybe he's not 28 until. Oh, and the roommates said the ED thing was a lie. Okay. And he's turning 27 in May. So there you go. Thanks to the community for stepping up and clarifying those issues. I think there was a statement for those who give a rip about where the ED thing... Yeah, no big deal about getting the age wrong. I think the ED thing came because there was some statements made in one of the documentaries that Luigi Mangione and maybe online had lamented about the pain that he was having was even made it difficult for him to have relations with another person. And so maybe somebody interpreted that to mean ED. I don't think it meant ED. I think it just meant like literally my back hurts. And so how am I going to do physical things when my back hurts? And maybe that got translated into ED. I don't know. All right. That's about 30 minutes of Luigi. We don't have to cut it dry. Is there anybody in here who wants to ask any questions about Coberger? If there are no questions about Coberger, we'll stay on Luigi or whatever you want to talk about for probably another half hour. I'm not going to drag this out for you guys. I'm going to go full screen again because there's nothing really to talk about at the moment on YouTube. And again, the viewership on YouTube, I think, lags behind. I'm not sure I can even see what the numbers are looking like over there on YouTube, but we'll see that stat later. And I think I've got replay turned on finally, so I can actually make sure I didn't miss somebody's comments. So anyways, now it's if you want, I said that the first half hour would be for Luigi Mangione questions, and that went fast because I talk a lot and I probably killed a lot of time. But if you have Coberger questions, that's technically what I'm moving towards now. However, if no Coberger questions come in and you still have Luigi questions, we'll keep talking about Luigi. What I'll do is if a Luigi question and a Coberger question come in together, I'll put priority on the Coberger question during this half. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking about Luigi Mangione, which is fine. By the way, I don't know if you guys remember, I had a real struggle with Luigi Mangione's name in the early stages. This is just something because I have nothing else to talk about for tonight, right? So when I first started talking about Luigi, I used to say Luigi Mangione. And I had several people, a Sicilian and a couple Italians, tell me that please pronounce his name right. It is not Mangione, it is Mangione or Mangione. There you go. If you want the Italian accent, it's a Mangione, right? So I did the best that I could, assuming that they were correct, and I started to pronounce Luigi's name as Mangione instead of Mangione. But then everyone in the press keeps calling him Mangione. And in fact, Karen Agnifilo, his own attorney, calls him Mangione. And so then I really struggled mentally. I'm like, well, shit, if Karen knows how to say his name, then maybe I should say it the way Karen does. Now, here's the difficulty. I know quite a few people who have different ethnic backgrounds, and they accept their name being pronounced the American way or the Italian way, or the American way and the German way. And so if you were to ask Luigi, it is possible Luigi might admit to you that it's really Mangione, right? He might tell you that. But is he going to correct someone because he's a polite guy when they want to say Mangione because that's more an American way to say it? Probably not, right? So it's probably just the way it is. It's not a sign of disrespect. People who have ethnic backgrounds tend to just accept and not make a big deal over the fact that people are going to pronounce it a little off, and they're not going to be like, excuse me, it's not that, it's this, because it looks pretentious and a little whatever. Hitler. Oh, do you think Judge Hitler? See, so I did say if I had a Coberger question, we would go with it. Do you think Judge Hitler seems to be arguing the state's case? I felt that way. Yes. So we're going to move a little bit now. We're going to move a little bit towards Bryan Kohberger because of the question that came in. If you are watching what I'm watching, I am extremely disappointed that Stephen Hitler does not appear to give a shit about the defense's position. If I have ever seen a judge whose body language tells you he already knows what happened and he's convinced that he knows what happens, it's Hitler. Hitler, as you probably have seen if you watch any of the court appearances, when the defense is talking, he slouches, he puts his hand in his head, and he just looks like he's just bored. Like, would you just shut up already? And he mocks the way that they talk. He mocks their arguments. I have never seen, I think, in a trial, a judge that looks so blatantly biased. And I don't know what to do about that. In the sense that I don't know that anyone's going to do anything about it. Usually judges do a pretty good job of being impartial, or at least looking impartial. In fact, I would say out of a lot of cases I've watched in America, you don't find out how much the judge really was pissed off about what the accused did until sentencing. And then the judge takes that gloves off. Until that time, you have no idea how the judge personally feels about it. But when the judge finally gets in and the verdict's been read, then the judge will say something like, I have never seen a more disgusting human being in my life, and I'm glad you're getting, get the F out of my courtroom. That's what happened to James Egan Holmes, for example, where the judge was relatively, even keeled during the whole thing. But then when he got his chance and the verdict was finally read, he could say, get the hell out of my courtroom and arrest him and get him out of here. But you don't want to hear that kind of stuff from a judge who's trying to be impartial. So when Hitler is leaning, slouching and looking bored and just downplaying every single thing that the defense wants to argue, I just don't see how that looks. He's not even attempting to look like he's impartial. He clearly seems to know exactly what happened, and that's just the way it's going to be. So, it's sad. So again, I read that Howard Bloom book too. Damn it, TikTok addict! Did you know that I'm reviewing Howard Bloom's book chapter by chapter? You're never going to care what my opinions are on it. That's okay. That's all right. It's all good. I also am 4 chapters in on Howard Bloom's book. So, and again, I have a very, very busy schedule. I do lives 3 times a week. I do short videos. I do long form videos that aren't in the lives. And then somewhere along the time, when I have time, I read a chapter or 2 for the book series. And those book series are not well attended. They aren't heavily watched. And so it makes it even less of a priority, because it's like, I got 5 or 6 people who watch the book series. Now, the people who do watch the book series, they're excited about it, they say, and they're very wrapped in. And every time I say, "Man, do you really want me to continue?" They're like, "Yes, please continue." But it's for a very, very small audience. It is so bad, and this is from YouTube. It is so bad, and there's no denying his actions. I have never seen this. I wonder if it's contempt of court or something. Yeah, Hitler's actions are horrendous. And all I can say about that, and again, I don't know how you feel about the guilt or innocence of Bryan Kohberger, but all I can say about that is there's a possibility, likely possibility with that kind of attitude, that there's going to be appeals in Hitler's words every day and twice on Sunday after this trial, because of what appears to be a biased judge who has decided he already knows what happened and he really doesn't have time or energy to listen to their bullshit on the defense. And they probably could make that case pretty easy with an appeal, but we'll see. So you're about to jump in the book series. Is that going to be the Howard Bloom book series or the Luigi Mangione book series? And by jumping into the book series, do you mean on my channel, or are you just going to read the book yourself? I would love to have you participate in the book series. That would be fantastic. Ann Taylor is obnoxious. I feel bad about Ann Taylor in the sense that Ann Taylor looks, in my opinion, like she's out of her league a little bit. Going along the lines of my analysis of Hitler's courtroom, Hitler seems to have no tolerance to hear anything from the defense. And then when he rattles Ann Taylor, she looks rattled. She stumbles a lot. She's like, well, I mean, Your Honor, and she just looks pretty rattled. Now, here's the thing I can say about Ann Taylor. She's doing a fantastic job setting up things. I feel like when I'm watching her, she leads people into just so far down a rabbit hole of, hey, so can you tell me what happened here? And then when she gets them just so far, she goes, let's move to a different topic. And then she comes back later and she says, oh, by the way, you remember when you told me this? I think that's great. I think she's really good at that. But she's a public defender, right? Isn't she? So she's not the big money, right? And the conflicts of interest of Ann Taylor, having represented family members of the victims before in drug cases, is just weird. It leads to the question, and I'm not saying that this is the case. And by the way, thank you, Fifth Element, for saying you're going to watch my book series. I really appreciate that. I hope that you will find it enjoyable. If not, be honest and let me know, because I don't want to waste my time if people aren't finding that enjoyable or that it doesn't enlighten the discussion. So please let me know and be honest, and I'll be okay with that. But anyways, yeah. So it just looks like one could make the argument in that case that the judge has already made up his mind, and maybe they don't have a first-rate defense for Bryan Kohberger because he's got a public defender who seems to be stumbling, and so one might say, is he getting a fair trial? Is it just a setup to convict, and the court already has made up their mind, and the prosecutor really is doing a half-assed job? I don't know. I think the argument that Ann Taylor is putting together does not sound like a half-assed job, but I just don't think she's doing it as strongly as somebody else could, maybe. And I hate to say that because I don't want to besmirch Ann Taylor's tactics, but she doesn't look super strong from the court, from the pulpit, if you will, in my opinion. But you've heard that she's a great attorney, and I hope that's the case. He's going to need it if he's going to get a fair trial. Again, and by fair trial, I don't mean getting off. Like, if he was guilty, then a fair trial, he can still be convicted in a fair trial. But let's just have a fair trial. That's all I want, is just to have a fair trial. All right, where are we at? We're at 6:41. We still have 20 minutes good of Coberger. If you want to ask questions about Coberger, or if there's no Coberger, we can still talk about anything else. Have you watched the new Black Mirror episode, Common People, about American healthcare system? I have not. It's so funny. I thought Black Mirror was done making episodes. So I used to love Black Mirror. I have watched a lot of seasons of Black Mirror, and I like that show. So if there's new episodes of Black Mirror, now I have to wonder how many seasons have I missed, because I stopped watching a couple years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. So, and I did hear that there was one about the American healthcare system, and I love to do deep dives on shows, especially if I think that they're trying to make a statement. So Could you tell me, by the way, in your opinion, this Common People episode of Black Mirror, do you feel that they were trying to make a statement? Does it relate enough that there's talking points in there that maybe I should do a deep dive, watch that show, and then give people my analysis and breakdown of the important parts? Or is it just entertainment and really doesn't kind of relate at all? So anyways, I'm going to go back to Coberger here on the YouTube. So she's sitting on a big bang. She was power of attorney for Xana's mom, several cases, and had to give her case to another public defender because she is the only death penalty defender. I heard she also took on another case just recently, in addition to Kohberger, another death penalty case, while she's still trying to defend Kohberger, which I found is stunning. Is that true? Do you know if that's true, that she just took on another death penalty case? So anyways, yeah, I think she is setting up some big things. So that is true. Ann Taylor took on another death penalty case while doing this one. Oh, and the judge yelled at her for that. See, I did hear something about that. Wow. Did she have a choice? I mean, how many public defenders do they have? But yeah, that would, so again, okay, yes. So Natasha, you're talking about something I saw. And that was that somebody was saying, how can you simultaneously say, hey, we need more time for Bryan Kohberger's defense, and then you're taking on another death penalty case, which is going to take time. So yeah, I get it. And again, it leads to that question. It leads to the question, is Bryan Kohberger being set up in the court system where the court system, both his defense and the court, has already decided what the outcome of the trial is going to be? Again, one could argue Ann Taylor is making a good show of giving him a good defense because she's setting up things and she's trying to implicate that, the government, in particular, Ann Taylor is setting up that the FBI actually was involved in planting and fabricating evidence on her client, and she's been setting up that for some time. So is that all just a ruse because she knows that nobody will buy it? And so it's one of those things that it looks like I'm trying to help my client, but nobody's going to buy that the feds ever planted evidence or fabricated evidence. And so in the end, it makes it look like I'm trying to do the right thing, but she knows it's going to fail and everyone knows it's going to fail. I don't know. Yes, it's related. I think it's a surprise witness to confess. I have all info. He is leader of Aryan Brotherhood, and I think he made a deal to save his little brother from the death penalty. Oh yeah, my point, if Xana's mom became an informant under protection, then she would have a fixed in Anne. Yes, Fifth Element. So what you're hinting at is that there's a drug element to the Idaho 4 murders. There's rumors about informants that are being protected by the government for turning state's evidence on other people, and that all of this is basically a sham trial to protect their informants. Now, to give credence to that a little bit, and I'll get back to Ask Why, who just posted a thing, and boy, I should have had my glasses tonight. Holy crap. Anyways, to give credence to that, Judge Napolitano, who's been on many Fox and CNN, I think, as a legal analyst of Judge Napolitano, he wrote a book about how corrupt our American legal system is. And he talked about, and I've talked about in a brief video that you probably never saw on TikTok, about how the federal government had a mobster, for example, who was a hitman inside the mob. And because he was an inside informant for the mob, or for the federal government, not only hold on, I got to do a little test. It looks like I have to select two objects that are the same. I've never had this test before. Okay, so that and that, confirm. All right, so TikTok was going to shut down my stream if I don't prove that I'm a human being. So anyways, Judge Napolitano talked about how the federal government had a mob hitman on the payroll as an inside informant. Not only did they allow him to commit violence and even a murder, but the federal government, participated in framing somebody for that murder so that their informant could stay inside the mob and inform on the mob. So they were willing to convict an innocent man for a crime. Now, innocent, maybe he had other crimes he did, but they knew he didn't do the murder, and they helped prosecute the man for the murder so that they could keep their informant safe, who was continuing to do murders and other things while they protected him. So is it outside the realm of believability that if the government has an inside informant on a huge drug deal or cartel or something like that, that they would have shown before that they're willing to convict somebody for something that they didn't do in order to keep their confidential informant on the inside, because there's bigger fish to fry. You know, getting the drug kingpin in the end will save more lives than the one innocent man. That's the theory. One innocent man goes to jail for something he didn't do, but we're bringing down a criminal empire, and more lives will be saved in the long term. So you could see in their mind maybe how they would justify setting up an innocent man, because it's for the, you know, otherwise the whole case gets blown, right? And so, yeah, you can. For me, that's a logical work through I could do. That's a step that my brain can go through. Ask Why said, I'm not following this case, but if there is a jury watching the judge, they might pick up on his body language, and that might impact their verdict. Judges need at least to appear impartial. Yeah, Ask Why. The problem is right now is this is all pre-trial hearings. The trial doesn't start until August, and so. Yeah, the jury doesn't see that. Potential jurors can see it, just like all of us can see when we're watching the pretrial motions. And will Judge Hippler's posture and attitude change when we get to the jury? God, I hope so. I can't imagine the judge will slouch and look bored during the entire actual trial. I can't imagine he'd do that. So I imagine he will probably straighten up and act at least to be awake during most of the trial. So that's a good point. You're confident in Anne. That's what Fifth Element says. Yeah, excellent. I hope you're right. Again, not because I have a dog in the fight on whether Bryan Kohberger is found guilty or not guilty, but because I just want a fair trial. I don't want a setup. I don't want somebody. There's implications that people are hiding things and are manipulating things to make sure that somebody goes down for something. And my point that I have said many, many times is, even if a person is guilty, the government and law enforcement cannot fabricate evidence because they know he's guilty to make that person go to jail. That is not ethical in my opinion. So I'm sorry. I believe in the presumption of innocence, and I believe in the principle that it is better for guilty people to go free than for one innocent man to go to jail for something that he didn't do. And so because of that, it's not acceptable for law enforcement to bend the rules and do illegal things to make sure a guy that they believe in their personal heart of hearts is guilty and just make it so. That's not acceptable to even if they're guilty. It's not acceptable to bend the evidence in the case to make sure a person goes down because you know that they're guilty. That is the job of the jury. The jury needs to decide if that person's guilty or not the law enforcement, not the judicial system, the jury. Great questions and a good rousing conversation tonight. We can probably, well, yeah, I guess I am full screen on YouTube. I see that screen down below that's stuck on Luigi Mangione, and here we are talking about, you know, about Coberger. So I'm going to switch over to the When the Night Comes Falling, just because it'll be something else to show on screen that's a little bit more related to what we're doing. And here we go. Oh, that's not going to work. That's the actual book. I just want to get a book cover, something to put on the screen, for Pete's sake. Images. There we go. Here. This is more what we're talking about. When the Night Comes Falling, the book by Howard Bloom, and the case of the Requiem for the Idaho student murders. And so yeah, I'll show that as well on YouTube briefly, although there's not much to show. But that's just a kind of a placeholder what the hell we're talking about. Hey, we weren't mad at that Luigi screen. Oh, you might have been. That Luigi screen was the one that says the mind of a killer. I left that on my screen for like 10 minutes. You want that on the screen? I mean, maybe just a Luigi picture, but not that one. You probably don't want that one. I meant to say that Xana, this is from YouTube, I meant to say that Xana's mom confided in Anne before the murders, especially if she became an informant, that she may have given Anne a heads up on who's responsible. Yeah. Do you know, and you haven't read Howard Bloom's book, right? I think he starts to deal into the drug issue as well. But I haven't read his book, so I'm going by chapter, and I'm not that far into it. Does anyone know what time Friday's court hearing is? It does not show a time. If you're talking about Luigi Mangione's court appearance, I don't know. I think 9 a.m., but that's just because I was thinking I saw that at one point, but I don't see a time either. So we'll see. I had a big breakdown about, breakdown as in like deep dive, if you will. I'm going to go to full screen again. I had a big deep dive about sorry, I get these people confused. Karen Agnifalo's big motion to basically take the death penalty off the thing. We did a huge breakdown of that, and that's on my live recorded if you want to watch that. We went through that thing in detail. What's going on again for Luigi's court this week? No court appearances unless there's an indictment. So, Natasha, what I understand is in a couple days, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is supposed to be rendering a decision about whether or not to uphold the arrest of Luigi Mangione in Altoona, Pennsylvania, based on basically the court needs to respond to Thomas Dickey's motion to suppress the evidence and writ of habeas corpus, which means basically Altoona, Pennsylvania, or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania let Luigi go. You can't try him. It was an illegal arrest and you've got nothing on him. So that decision is going to supposedly be due in a couple days. And then a couple days after that is the deadline, supposedly, for the next hearing for the federal government, where they are supposed to either, or they're expected to either indict Luigi Mangione or remand him into state custody or request a continuance for more time. So that's what should happen on those days. Whether those are going to be televised or not, we don't know. Whether they need to be televised or not, we don't know. Other than, of course, everybody wants to just see a moment, even if it's just a moment of some socks or some sockless feet in some shoes and loafers under a table. People want to see that, even if that's all they get to see. What will happen this Friday or moved because of Good Friday? Oh, will it? So I don't think Good Friday is considered a national holiday, is it? So I don't think it's going to stop the courts systems. I don't think it would stop the court system. And if it is, and if the 18th is the 18th Friday, if the 18th is Friday, then they could possibly have a decision. Yeah, the 18th is Friday, so they could have a decision on Thursday. So we'll see if they want to take Friday off. They may ask for a continuance on Thursday. And do you think Karen is going to agree to that? So here's a depressing thing for me. I just looked at the numbers. We have a super low attendance tonight, even for my chat or my lives. Hardly anybody's here. So I have apparently not done a good job tonight, either the format or the layout or whatever. But yeah, we did. This is. I don't think I've had a live this low attended for like months. So something. I've missed the mark somewhere. Well, that sucks. I'll have to give some rethought. I'll try this format one more time to make sure it's not the format, but maybe it's the format. Maybe people see this and they're like, I'm out. That guy's nuts. So who knows? What else do we got? Idaho and Pennsylvania has been busy in the crime court stuff last few years, right? With the Vallow case in Idaho. I think there has been a couple other big Pennsylvania cases, and I don't remember which ones they were. But anyways, yeah. I think we covered it on the show last time too. All right, I'm not going to go past. I don't think I'm going to go past the top of the hour in 5 minutes because hardly anybody's here. It's spring break. Okay, that could be it too. I will try to. I'll try to buck up a little bit of not feeling like nobody loves me, everybody hates me. I'm going to go eat some worms and just say, well, maybe it's been an off day or an off night. And to be fair, I didn't come with fire tonight. I didn't come with a big agenda. So I'm not, when people tune in, they probably very quickly hear that I'm not talking about anything important and just leave. So that's partly my bad. Although I don't want to make up news just so I can have something to talk about. But I do want to stay on a schedule, which is what we're doing. The biggest thing that I want to take away from what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stay consistent. One thing that I've learned about these platforms is they like consistency. They like to know that you're always going to be there and you're on a consistent schedule. And so I'm striving for consistency, even if nobody wants to listen. And thank you for the gifts. Holy shit, thank you for the gifts. That helps bring up my mood just a little bit. So thank you so much. I do appreciate it. It is frustrating when it's funny because I don't want to talk money, but on the back end, it's funny. Like I one time had this super exhausting, mentally exhausting, like 3-hour rant, and I got done, and it's like, you earned 20 cents, and I'm like, that is the fucking hardest 20 cents I've ever earned in my entire life. I'm mentally and physically exhausted from 3 hours. And that wasn't including the show prep notes and all the time. And I'm just like, oh my God, like that literally was 20 cents. My God, it's not a good way to make a living. Anyways, so everyone recovering from the pink moon we just had. Everybody's worn out. That's why. That may be. See, you're on the spiritual side. That's why I told you that we would have a talk sometime. So yeah, very cool. I like this format. It's also good when it's interactive. By format, do you mean the format of my live or the format of the screen? I'm just curious whether or not, and do you mean by the format of the talk about Luigi for a half hour and talk about, what? I would love to get some feedback, because the Q&A. Oh, excellent. Good. So having questions and answers instead of just being me with a total agenda can be good, right? So that's great. Yeah. Oh yeah, 20 cents is crazy. That's not a way to make a living. To be fair, and I don't even like to talk about money. See, that's the last thing I'll say, by the way. I don't want to pitch myself for money. I don't want to beg for gifts. I don't want to ask people to buy products. I don't want to do shit like that. Like on the news, when you talk about the news, you get a commercial break. Nobody has to tell you, now you have to buy this soda that I drink, and we're gonna, you don't have to do that, because it's understood that if you're gonna get free news and free content, you're gonna have to listen to a commercial every once in a while. That's the way I wish that it worked on these platforms, and it does to some extent on YouTube, because if you get big enough on YouTube, then if an advertiser doesn't mind having their product associated with true crime and potentially your horrible innocent until proven guilty stance, then maybe somebody will throw an ad every once in a while, and you get to watch, the viewer get to watch the whole thing for free in exchange for watching an ad every once in a while, and then you get some money from the ad revenue. So anyways, I hate talking business, but what I want to tell you is I'm always striking the balance between, my wife tells me I need to go back to work if I'm not going to make any money, and I can't make any money because I'm not going to pitch. I don't want to pitch people for money. I don't want to keep asking. I will come up with that game, though, and we're going to try that and see how that goes. And if that comes across as being unauthentic and asking and begging for money, then I will probably try to find something else to do, because that just is not my thing. Have a slideshow of Luigi Mangione's greatest photos in the background, and you'll get viewers from that. Well taken. Thank you. I will consider that. Maybe I can put it down there in that area down below that I'm just starting to work on, and I can just have a running slideshow of Mangione photos on Mangione night if I'm not talking about something specific. Yeah, but you guys have all seen a million photos of Mangione, so, it is what it is. All right, so, yeah, that's kind of basically it. Actually, by the way, Renee, TikTok doesn't pay for views, really. They don't really, from what I understand, they don't really pay for views. It's all through the gifting process. If you buy gifts and you can give your content creators gifts, that's where the money comes from. And then, TikTok takes a good portion of your gift money for them. So they make great money. But there is live incentives, meaning when I go live, they kind of, I feel like what they've done is they've done it so that every person that goes live during the week gets to share part of the pot, if you will, of live rewards. And so I can get a little kickback if I go live, 20 hours during the week. The more I go live, the more chance I get to get a piece of that pie. I don't like to talk business. Let's get done talking business. I want to thank everyone who came here tonight and listened to it. I think it's clear that YouTube is hearing audio just fine. I think it's clear that TikTok is hearing audio just fine. I personally like this new layout that I've got going in in TikTok. I like that. The transition back and forth when I go to this whole picture-in-picture thing, that's not working so well for me. I got to work that out. But I'm really kind of digging this layout. If you don't like the layout and you think it was better when I'm just full screen, let me know in this next 1 minute, and I'll consider that. But I kind of like this format. I can do so much. I can move things around. I can put different things. I can have pop-ups for when people give gifts. I can have all kinds of cool shit going on now that I've learned how to use TikTok Live Studio. So that's it for me. Thank you for spending an hour with me on your Monday. I'm sorry that this show didn't have a lot of life and didn't have a lot of content. Again, Wednesday, last plug for Wednesday. Wednesday, I'm going to be going live with an individual by the name of Birdie Bombs, I think is what it is, right? Birdie Bombs. And him and I are going to, he does a weekly show on Wednesdays. and I'm going to join him on his show. So I'm going to start this one at 6 o'clock like I normally do, and then I'm going to say goodnight at about a half hour, and then I'm going to shut down the TikTok stream, probably, and the YouTube stream, probably, and then I'm going to join Birdie on his show, and we're going to talk about Coberger and crazy shit that you've never heard me talk about before. So if you want to hear my take on that, then I think it's going to be great. Him and I talked enough where we said, dude, let's stop talking about this so we can talk about this in front of people, because we have we're riffing on each other, like, oh, and yeah, what about this, and oh, and what about this, and we started to riff on each other, and I'm like, you know what, let's save this for a group. This is amazing. So we're in like step with a lot of cool stuff, and a lot of interesting topics will come in. I think it's going to be a great potential show. All righty. Put on background the subject to attract. Yeah, I'll try to find something for the background. I mean, I thought these little cool lights behind me were kind of cool, but yeah, it's not Luigi Mangione, so it can't compete with that. All right, thank you again. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. It was great that you guys coming in again. The big thing I'm working on, which didn't move the needle at all, I don't think, tonight, was subscribers. I'm really trying to get to that 10,000 subscribers. Why? For many reasons. Things open up for me, mainly the playlists. When we get to 10,000 subscribers, I can put things in playlists, and I can have playlists for Luigi Mangione and playlists for Bryan Kohberger, and we can keep those things separate, and I think it'll be great. So if you could somehow get my channel out there to some people, I'm working on trying to get that number up as quickly as possible, because it's not going well. It's going super slow. All right, that's it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the evening, and I am out of here. Now I got to find out how to shut everything down, because I've never shut down this way. So we're going to end the live here.